GM Fox fam, we'll go ahead and get started. Maybe some more people will join us as the call goes on. I'll apologize to start off. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Took a COVID test that came back negative, but still feeling a little bit like Mr. Balloon Hands. So gonna do my best to navigate this call and governance, but I won't be my best day ever energy that I try to bring. So apologies in advance for that, guys. I posted our office hours agenda just previous to this call, and just have a couple of things to chat about. Can open it up for Q&A as well at the end of that. Going to talk about the support proposal that I had previously put up and withdrawn, and kind of the direction that that conversation has gone. A request for a source of data that has sent my team on kind of a massive rabbit hole this morning that I hope to have like a cool presentation of a product feature wallet matrix that we'll talk about for a couple of minutes. And then we'll spend some time talking about the new operations workstream renewal proposal. So that's the agenda today. Kicking it off first with that support discussion, we decided that it would be best to find more positive and collaborative measures to work with support on finding that floor of need with our current support offerings. And Megan put up a really great post kind of collating some of the information that myself and operations put together, as well as some more detailed information that she was able to pull about the stats from her team. And our hope is that we'll have a discussion and get some perspectives from other community members and preferably ShapeShift users themselves about what they're looking for out of support. I mean, we can't necessarily build an entire Zendesk for just one person's need because they like Zendesk, but if we can get kind of a greater depth of perspective of understanding how people are using support and what their expectations are, it can really drive the rest of this conversation towards possible solutions to meet those needs. So support's been having this discussion inside their support office hours. And I know Meg is about to head off for maternity, so I think that Mogi will probably be leading most of these conversations going forward. But there's a forum post there that Meg has posted, and I believe there's going to be a scheduled community call coming in the next week or two as well, going over it. And I'd love if any of those of you on the call that have had any sort of feelings about this one way or another, about our support services and how we can best continue to offer that service inside our continually changing environment, is something I'm super interesting in being collaborative on. So please check out those threads and join the conversation. Second thing I have up is the wallet feature matrix. So we've got a whole bunch of goats in the goat farm right now, and all in different levels of completeness. And a lot of them were starting to understand that there are features that we can release inside these wallets that access app.shapeshift.com. And there are some features that just due to limitations outside of our control, maybe what the wallet offers, we can't offer those things. So like a simple early version of this would be Bitcoin support. You can't get Bitcoin support on MetaMask. We offer MetaMask and we offer KeepKey. If someone wants to see Bitcoin balance on app.shapeshift.com, they can't do that with MetaMask, at least not now currently. And then this kind of gets a little bit more complicated when we get to things like Doge or AVAX or Bitcoin Cash support. And then they get further complicated with this new future integration that we have of Wallet Connect. And Wallet Connect opens us up to over 100+ wallets that we now need to do a little bit of a technical deep dive on what features these wallets will have complete access to, what features we might need to think about, UI, UX improvements or hiding around things. So I guess there's like a lot of projects that have asked sort of this data collection of us in smaller pockets. And so our hope is that with this big living document of a matrix that is measuring all of our wallets, all of the support that we're aware of and the features that we're aware of that might be segregated to specific wallets, as well as issues that might arise from those wallets that we may or may not have the capability to do anything about. Our hope is that we can put all of that in one document that support can check out and easily have as kind of a mall directory map of you are here, you want to get this, we can offer that for you, we can't offer that for you. But also will help us provide insights to if there are problems that we thought we didn't have control over, but we could with maybe UI UX improvements. Will help us build a prioritized list of understanding based on wallets and features. So kind of a cool, weird, different project. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye out for. And we just started this today, so we'll be sharing the earliest version of it maybe by the end of the day, but it will have a lot of discovery that still needs to be done because the 100+ wallets, we're doing them one at a time. Looks like Meg also sent some DMs to some customers about the support stuff to see if we can get some straight from the horse's mouth experience about what they'd like to see in their support experience. So looks like we do have some perspectives joining in. Would really love to see the voice of the community inside this discussion as well. So send your thoughts in the forum, send them in DM to Meg or Moby or myself. Let's keep the conversation going. If you have thoughts about this wallet feature matrix, what we should be tracking, other work streams that might benefit from specific insights that can be gathered by this, we're definitely still in an early ideating phase of the best way to collect and interpret or present that data. So if this matrix is something that you were like, oh, I'd find that useful, let us know that you would find it useful and how you'd find it useful, and we'll make sure that we can build it in a way that continues that use for you. That's all I've got on those two topics. The last thing I've got is a proposal that I put up just on Monday evening for a renewal of the operations workstream for a third term. Operations has been funded through the end of this month, but we will be looking for a renewal for 6 months to keep us funded August through January. The proposal's a little dense and it's got a lot of hyperlinks in there. We do our best to keep almost all of our projects completely transparent and open, whether those are in Notion or in Google Docs or Google Sheets or things like that. So you should be able to see almost all of what we're doing and be able to view those things kind of linked inside here. Quick overview of what we in operations do. We work really closely with a lot of work streams, kind of primarily with engineering and product, but we've found our niche fits with other work streams in marketing and support. We're developing some really great things here most recently. And our hope is to try and provide procedures and practices via agile mindset to help everyone do things more efficiently. We also have a main focus on our product suite and its reliability and uptime. So we want to make sure that the overall health of the DAO and the overall health of the products that we offer are in good standing and ready and available to folks. So we're one of the only work streams that is focused specifically on that health and that uptime. And we do all of these things via kind of a list of responsibilities that involves testing, both in deployments and regression testing, that involves triage, response, coordination, and recreation, ticket management. It now includes bounty management. This is something that was not on our proposal from the previous proposal, but has stuck its way into our responsibilities and our KPIs. There's some ways in which we've built responsibilities inside our relationship with marketing and press release reviews and communication about the updates of releases as they get developed. And these now have also kind of snuck into some KPIs. And then we also do a lot of meeting management in terms of the ops sprint, the governance call, both of those are weekly. Unsolved user problems, which is bi-weekly. The All Fox, which was monthly. It looks like it might be moving to either bi-monthly or quarterly now. There's a poll in the forum right now that we're trying to receive feedback on how frequent you think the All Fox should be. So if you haven't checked that out, please do check it out. But the All Fox is something that operations is involved in coordinating and maintaining. And then we also do go-no-goes and retros. Go-no-goes are a very flexible and nebulous thing that have pendulums swung back and forth from deeply, heavily type A organized to more loosely, asynchronously kept up based on need of the project. I think these things will always morph and change based on need and circumstance, but we've done a pretty good job to try and make sure everyone's involved in all our projects at the right time and we're not wasting people's time in doing so. And then we also do retros. We've done a couple of them more early on. We haven't done them in a while. There is a new retro that has been scheduled and put on the event calendar, and that is for a year one review of the DAO in early August. And I'll be leading that retro. But retros are something that we do to kind of look back collaboratively about what the successes and failures and what we could potentially do different to be even better than we were with the project we were looking at specifically. So we do all of those meetings and kind of anything and everything we can in between in terms of helping be supportive inside the Discord or anywhere else inside the environment of the DAO. So we're happy to help you figure out a problem and troubleshoot it. We're happy to connect you to the right people if we find you before the mod squad does, which is rare, but sometimes happens. Yeah, that's kind of the bird's eye level view of our roles and responsibilities. If any of these things are of interest to you and you'd like to dig down into the specifics of them, all of them should be listed and available for you to deep dive on kind of the goals or the KPIs. I'll save me reading those off for you. Details about the budget for this one. There's been a lot of austerity measure conversation. I know I've been leading some different conversations there as well as some other people. And in hopes to try and meet that within our own work stream, I tried my best to maximize the efficiency of my team and lower my stablecoin spend as dramatically as possible. And in doing so, I was able to drop the stablecoin ask from the last budget to this budget by 49%. And the biggest ways that was done was a mass consolidation of the miscellaneous spend that we had, as well as a 50% decrease in our test funds, dropping our test fund monthly allocation from $20,000 to $10,000, and then splitting up that test fund allocation into 50-50 split of USDC and Fox. We had a larger budget to hire on more people than we currently have, and we've just removed those spaces for new hires. And every single contributor on the work stream has decided to take a portion of their salary in Fox as well. Some folks are taking 10%, some folks are taking a larger portion of percentage, some folks are doing boosted Fox. I myself will be taking 40% of my salary in Fox going forward to additionally help lower that stable ask there. So we went from $75,000 a month in ask to now roughly we're looking at, sorry, I should have pulled up the full budget. 1 second. we're looking now at a monthly USDC ask of 37,962. So that's actually from 75 to 37. Yeah, we're a 40% decrease there. The total budget, if you include the blend of Fox and USDC, puts us at 55K a month for a total of 330,000 over the course of 6 months in USDC and Fox, or that could break down into 227,000 for 6 months in USDC and 102,000 in Fox over the course of the 6 months to fund us. Happy to answer questions about these in the forum. No one said anything really yet about this post, so I'm hoping that that's silent support. But I'd love to address any questions about the specifics of our budget and the motivations behind where we got the numbers that we did and how we made the cuts that we did. I can say the biggest benefits for us in terms of cutting back our test funds were the network fees dropping dramatically. We went from $150 to $200 in specific transaction gas fees down to now $10, $12 to do the same sort of Uniswap fees and things like that. And we also have dramatically changed our expectations for what deserves an actual physical transaction. And there's some links there to the new processes for regression and deployment testing. I've talked about this in a couple of previous office hours, but we now do a weekly average of GUI to make sure that we're not doing tests, performing tests at high network fees. And this has really decreased the amount of testing funds that we've needed month over month. There's a little sentence or clause in there about a potential addendum for more test funds to be requested. There's maybe a potential cataclysmic event of Fox price going to zero with half of our test funds being allocated in Fox and network fees going up dramatically and going back to that $100, $200 a Uniswap trade. And those things could be events that we would be forced to either adjust our expectations for testing again or request more testing funds. Take a second to look in the stage chat and catch my breath. If there's anything going on here, just some questions about support. So Mogi asks, what's the average spend usage of test funds per month? And does it carry over, say the 20K now, old 10K doesn't get used in a month's time? I'd have to go back and measure the budgets to show where we've overspent, where we've underspent. It's been quite a few months since we've overspent the 20K, but we did have 2 out of the 6 months previously, especially early on when the networks were much higher, that we overspent and rolled over or pulled test funds from previous ones. We're now getting to the point that I'm pretty sure that we used June's test funds for all of June and most of July, and have just tapped into July's test funds, which are still have about a quarter of them left to get through the month. So we're still at a point of decreasing. I don't think we're at the full 50% decrease yet, but the practices for us using less specific actual cents inside our testing have really just started to happen over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. So our team is also kind of measuring and collecting the data on these practices as they just happened, and we'll hope to have a lot more analytics on that as well. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, thanks for the questions, Mogi. Test funds in general, opposite the price of ETH, opposite gas fees, and our velocity is something that's like always a very difficult thing to measure need specifically. And so our hope is that we can keep tightening in these and keep asking those questions so we can not overspend and really hone in specifically in this new open source thing to what our need of testing is. Just similarly how we, or previously I was talking about need for support, need for testing too. There used to be a desire for us to test everything twice a day because it could break. It did break, and we're not quite there anymore. I see Shifty's on stage too. You've been hanging out for a minute, sir? Hiding in the background?
Yeah. Just on the testing front, we've made a decent amount of changes to the methodology on how we are testing releases. We're not over like if it's so only testing maybe like 1 or 2 wallets, and maybe splitting up responsibilities of testing multiple different things. So there is no double spend on testing one subject of the application. So we're trying to whittle that down as much as possible, and we were also keeping track of our TX IDs and the GUI amount at the time, and also the USD value at the time. But I don't think that really matters. It's all about what the GUI was at the time. But yeah, so we'll have way more data on that subject in the coming months.
And for full transparency on the process as well, we moved a lot of things in a regression test that used to be tested almost every day or once a week to a schedule that's more in lines for once a month. In doing that over the course of the month, one of the things that was put into a regression test once a month was keep key. And there was a keep key bug that was discovered, reported, but not properly escalated to the right channels, and created just not the most expedited of responses that we could have had. And from that process, we've now got some communications with the Keep Key workstream, and the Keep Key workstream has some funds that they have set aside that were given to them by the DAO specifically for situations like this to cover the testing and regression testing and bugs and bug fixes. So we were able to find out that we swung the pendulum a little too far, specifically with one wallet and Keep Key, and addressed the problem of bringing regression tests a little more frequently to Keep Key, and are addressing measuring the actual cost of a full regression test of a specific wallet on a specific time scale now, so we can properly fund that from the Keep Key work stream. So in that, we noticed one thing that was not great, and we got an expedited fix out of it. But of the 20 or so wallets and things that we do in the regression test, that was the one sore thumb that stuck out that we were able to respond to. So there's definitely a sign that the process is working, and that we can also respond once we discover that the need might be greater than the new setting that we've set it to.
Absolutely.
I want to revisit back to the proposal in the budget. We haven't always used all of our test funds, as well as not using all of our miscellaneous funds. We've had a allocation for travel and conference and training that's barely been used the entire last 2 previous terms. And we've rolled over all of our budget into Colony. And because of that, we were able to not request any of this last month's allocated budget for the term 2. And we were able to use the extra rollover funds to fund us. And we still have some left over in Colony. And if you combine the amount that we kind of discounted off of our ask that we were able to use, and the amount that's still there, there's about $100,000, a little over $100,000 worth of rollover budget from the first two allocated budgets that we'll be rolling over and back to the DAO. So the total ask for this budget right now would be $330,000 and a blend of USDC and Fox. But right now there's $26,169 currently sitting worth of USDC in the workstream. And we would just discount that from the first month's USDC ask to continue to roll all of that back to the DAO and realize as much USDC savings as possible. There's some questions that have been asked by Ocean of a lot of the previous workstream renewals about what the workstream would look like with a 10% decrease in the budget, a 25% decrease in the budget, and maybe a 10% increase and a 25% increase. And I responded down in the forum with those. But the highest level would be a 10% increase or decrease would be an absolute loss of at least one workstream member, potentially two, and a revisiting of all of our processes and procedures to make sure that in the loss of the cycles and the labor that we had, we could still meet all of our needs that are documented in our KPIs, and probably a re-examination of KPIs in terms of uptime, in terms of reliability, in terms of triage response time, in terms of meeting management that we would be able to handle, and in terms of amount of releases we would be able to push out each week. If we were to look at a 25% decrease, that would be a loss of 2 to 3 members, and basically a re-examination of the foundation of this work stream and what it would mean to the DAO and how we could meet your guys' needs. On the other side, we'd be able to hire at least one new person and really kind of help provide more collaborative processes to different work streams in the DAO at a 10% increase. And at a 25% increase, we get to, I don't know, sponsor a race car or something like that. We'd get to do everything we want to do and more, and would have to revisit and ask the community for what they'd like to see more efficient and more agile here. I don't think I would feel comfortable asking for a 25% increase in the current bear market right now of what this budget is currently asking. We would be less of a shoestring for sure, and maybe we would go to some more conferences and things like that, but certainly not at the top of the list of things that are requirements. So that's why they're not there on the budget. It doesn't look like there's much stage chatter going on around the renewal here. So I guess what I will say is that we'd love to see any sort of commentary, criticism, feedback, good, bad, or indifferent inside the forum. Or please feel free to chat with us, myself, or any of the ops team in Discord, or maybe in the governance call later. Would love to see if there's anything here that you guys feel we should change or focus on differently. We're here to kind of help things run as smoothly as possible, and I don't feel like I need to be the judge in the way we find the smoothest route. I feel like that's something that's great for us to be positioned in DAO to figure out a lot of these strategy things. So I'd love to continue to provide this service for you in the community here as a DAO, and hope that when this goes to the next phases of governance, you all provide your votes, your feedback, your hearts, and see if you can help us continue to be here for another term. Do you have anything to share, add, Shifty, on the renewal or anything otherwise?
Nope. Just looking forward to working more collaboratively with other teams, and especially support. I have some ideas of ways that we can take the information from support users and smoothly gather that information for ops to dig into further, and just be more inclusive with each other's information. So I'm looking forward
Sweet.
to doing that.
Yeah, that sounds nice. If it means another spreadsheet, I'm 100% for it. So,
Always another fucking spreadsheet.
well, on that note, I don't know a better sign off than that. So, thank you, Shifty. Thank you, folks. We didn't have anything else on the agenda, and it doesn't look like there are questions. So we're going to end on yet another fucking spreadsheet. Make it a good GM, folks.
GMO.